There are so many programs that want to give people with ideas money. Yes, you can literally get paid to have an idea. Your idea. Like, I experienced peak burnout at 25 years old. I was like, money! You can literally get money just for talking about an idea. And money. There's so much money. The world is not on a budget. If you have 1, 2, 3, release them. Hey, we're getting better at the angling, I feel like. Hello, it's Katie OGG. Today we're gonna talk about my first startup experience. So fun, though. If you Google me and you do the AI mode, it will literally tell you Katie OGG is an entrepreneur and marketing professional known for founding Freight, formerly Regenerate, a circular fashion platform designed to reduce textile waste. So sexy. It even tells you when I graduated, what scholarship I graduated from, and then how I was a corporate consultant. I did fail at my first business, though. This was my first startup. Freight was my first startup. It was my baby. It was my everything. It was a really big part of my identity and my self-esteem. And I'm just gonna tell you the story about how it came to fruition, how I was able to raise money for it, how I persevered, got betrayed, and brought communities together and clothed people. And then I failed because the only way you can fail in business, is they taught me throughout all the entrepreneurship cohorts that I went through, is when you give up. And I had to give up after 2 years. Who knows what will happen in the future, but this is the story of how I failed at my first startup and how it even came to be. How does a young first-generation American on scholarship at the business school come up with her own sustainable fashion startup? Well, it started with an email. It started with an email in 2020. I get this email that's like, I need to preface this before I get the email. 2020, download TikTok. I'm on Organizational Talk. It's teaching me how to color code my closet. I'm eating that up. I'm living at an apartment. I'm a sophomore going into like junior year in college at the business school, and color code my closet. So aesthetically pleasing. If you haven't color coded your closet, I highly recommend. The past 6 years I've been color coding my closet, and it is just such a luxurious thing to indulge in that you deserve. It's the little things, right? And so after I color code my closet, I have these 3 massive garbage bags of clothes, and some of the clothes still had tags on them. And I was just like, dang, dropping this off at a thrift store. One, I didn't know if people were still doing that, right? Because it's like 2020, peak pandemic. Are people even taking donations because of this like unknown virus that's going around? And I just was like, I don't want people to pay for the clothes that I already paid for. I wish that the clothes could be adopted within the community, and maybe like designers or innovators. You know, during COVID, a lot of people were picking up sewing and things. I was like, I wish people could take my clothes and like make them into new clothes. I was really fascinated with upcycled clothes and sustainable fashion. And I was looking online. I was like, there has to be like a little service, like a little Uber or a little something, right? That could come pick up my clothes and then ensure that it gets delivered to community members in need. And ideally they get upcycled with this like innovation aspect to it. And I'm looking online, all of a sudden I go down this rabbit hole about how a majority of clothes that are actually donated end up in landfills. And then I dive even more into this rabbit hole on the internet, and I watch these documentaries, I read these articles about how Ghana is the biggest importer of secondhand clothing, and they are literally drowning in clothes. Like, there are parts of the earth, and Chile too, different parts of the earth I learned, that are literally drowning in clothes. That there is such a big mountain of clothes in Chile, you can literally see it from outer space. And then in Ghana, people, it was like crazy to see people. It was like a house made out of clothes, because the clothes were piled so high at these secondhand markets. It literally looked like walls, and how it was so deeply embedded into the ocean. They couldn't even get like 80 feet out into the ocean because it was just so many clothes. And I was so guilt-ridden. I was like, oh my gosh, how in the world did I contribute to this? I had no idea that like my overconsumption was causing such detriment across the globe. Hello, living in America. And I was like, okay, I want to learn more about how this service that I had in mind as a consumer, like I just really wanted to pay someone to pick up my clothes and ensure that they were going to be utilized and upcycled locally. How can I further pursue this idea that was just at a time, right? Every single business, everything we've ever done. Hello, this YouTube thing that we're on right now, YouTube land, it was just an idea one time and now it's really here. So I was like, how does someone bring an idea to market? And then I get an email, literally like a couple months later, and it's from an entrepreneur like cohort that was going on at the business school as like an extracurricular club thing. And it was like, do you have an idea that could change the world? Like sign up for an informational session and learn about how you can apply to this program. So I said, bet, let me just apply because I do have this idea that I've been thinking about for the past 60 days. That is my beginning of junior year. I go through this program. I end up doing a lot more research. I'm working on it with one of my roommates that I lived with at the time. And then near the end of my junior year, we were supposed to do like this pitch competition at the end of the entrepreneurship program. And I was the victim of a crime. I went to school with criminals. We live amongst criminals, everybody. People do criminal, violating, manipulative, scheming, drugging stuff. It's called gender-based violence. Okay. And that just wrecked my world because it wasn't like slip a little GHB in her drink and just bring her home and then drop her off. No, I'm a warrior. I don't know if you can tell, but part of my family, we're from northern China, but we're also like a minority that originated from Mongolia. So there's like Genghis Khan running through my DNA, and I am just a fighter that even when I was drugged out of my mind, I was still fighting back. And so these like group of people took me and then just mutilated the actual F out of my body. And I just knew I fought back. I have no memory of it, but my body markings and mutilation showed afterwards like, oh, I was a fighter. Yes, ma'am. And so by the time it comes to, this is like a week or two before the pitch competition, and I am just like distraught. I'm like, I can't even think about this business. I can't even feel like I can leave my room. You know, all the things that someone goes through when they've been so immensely violated in that way. You're hanging on by a thread of self-preservation. So kind of just like fall off with my roommate because my roommate was also indirectly involved. And then come senior, so I didn't participate in the pitch competition my junior year, kind of just had to get my life back on track. Then rehabilitate myself over summer. Fall of senior year comes, COVID restrictions are pulled back a little bit, and it's like, hey, you guys can go back on campus now. And you can go to class. And I'm like, I am living out my senior year because my sophomore and junior year of business school was COVID university, was Zoom university, was if I even got to go to class, I had to spit in a tube 3 days before and make sure I didn't have COVID. And then I had to sit 6 feet away from other students and wear a mask. So now that I think we maybe still had to wear masks. I don't really remember, but it was like all classes are back in person. All extracurriculars were back in person. This extracurricular that I did my junior year, the first entrepreneurship program I joined, was straight up Zoom. So my fall senior year, they're hosting this like partner up event at the beginning of the semester. And it's like, if you have a business idea and you're wanting to work with people, like come out to this event and like hear a couple people pitch their idea. And then if you have similar ideas, you can partner up together and pursue the idea forward and do these different entrepreneurship programs. If you are in business school, if you are in college, community college, maybe even high school, even if you are not in school, there are so many programs that want to give people with ideas money. Yes, you can literally get paid to have an idea. Your idea doesn't have to work. You can literally get tens of thousands of dollars. That's as far as I went up to, but I'm sure people get like millions out there for just having an idea. This dipping my toe into the entrepreneurship world and community exposed me to the fact that the world is not on a budget. Okay? I kind of had this idea, they refer to it commonly as scarcity mindset, as like, oh, there's only a certain amount of money and this group of people have a lot of money and a majority of people don't have a lot of money. And so it's like, oh, well, if they have so much money and we don't have money, like that's all the money that there is. But that's true if you are in scarcity mindset. Shifting into the entrepreneurship world, I started to develop an abundance mindset, which is money, like energy, is ceased to be created nor destroyed, so it's limitless. Yes, so there is an abundance of money out there. Just because there are a small group of people that are hoarding a bunch of wealth does not mean that like all the wealth that they have versus the majority not having as much wealth, like, oh, we need to take their money and give it, to other people. And that would be helpful in certain ways. But money is not on a budget. The world is not on a budget. So just because they have all that money doesn't mean that all these other people that don't have money can still get more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a real DNA rewiring in my brain. And it was awesome because all of a sudden, my fall semester, I meet this girl at this Partner Up event, this woman, and she has a similar idea with sustainable fashion. She was doing some type of like, I don't know what she was doing, but she was doing something in the space of sustainable fashion. And then she pitched and I said, hey, you're kind of in the realm of sustainable fashion. Here's an idea that I was working on last year. Didn't get too far outside of like initial market research. Let's work together. So then we went on and we interviewed like hundreds of people. Because here's the thing, I don't know if they tell you this or not, but I didn't know this. Consumers don't know what they want. Consumers don't know how much they want to pay. As an innovator, as an entrepreneur, you are creating something and you are selling someone a solution. And you can tell them any price, hello, $100 for a pair of leggings? Like, yes! You can tell people and guide consumers and almost, I want to say like introduce different consumption patterns, but there's this thing called like the early adoption curve where you want to target probably like the top 20% of your demographic. So like, who are you designing this product for? How much do you think they'll pay? And it's important to keep in mind your early adopters because there's this rule where it's like 80% of your revenue comes from your top 20 customers. So we interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people to kind of narrow down like, what price point are we looking at? What people, like demographics, are we looking at? And it was really crazy because now here I am sitting with this woman. She was faculty at the school, and all first semester it was kind of crazy to me where I was like, are we really about to start asking people to pay us to like pick up their clothes? It was a little bit of like imposter syndrome, but like who doesn't have imposter syndrome when you're coming up with something new, right? Like imagine the first Uber. And here's the thing about Uber too. When Uber first came out, they targeted guys that would go out drinking in their like mid 20s to mid 30s that needed a safe way home. So those were their early adopters and they focused on that. Airbnb. Oh my God. I saw the initial like branding for Airbnb and it blew me 10 steps back. Airbnb, their initial early adopters were same thing, working professionals 20 to 30s that were traveling for conferences that didn't want to spend extra on hotels because typically hotels in the area would surge up their prices if they knew there was some event going on in town. So they would start listing like people's like living rooms and like couches on, and it's always weird and crazy at first until it's not. So fall semester, we're doing a bunch of market research, and then she works with someone that is another faculty at the school, he was, I think, like a master's student at the same university. So we got one faculty member, one master's student, and then me, senior in business school. And second semester of my senior year, which is my graduating year, I and this two other people that I'm working with have now come up with this thing called Freight. Hello. We're working with younger students in the business school and the marketing club. We've had like 30 people help us with logo design, campaigns, market research, just all the things that kind of go up into getting a startup on its first legs. They say the hardest thing for a startup is to get your first initial dollar, like 0 to 1 is harder than scaling from like 1 to 100 million. And so we were just kind of working to base the foundation on like, okay, how can we get this standing so that someone can actually pay us to pick up their clothes? Many trials and fails later, our second semester, we apply for a different program. We're like cycling through all these different entrepreneurship programs. They're teaching you things along the way. And then at the end of these programs, they typically give you an opportunity for like a pitch competition. And it's like, hey, in 3 to 5 minutes, tell us your idea and you can get money if you get first place. The first place is like $15,000, second place is $10,000, third place is $5,000. Like, money! You can literally get money just for talking about an idea. And so we do that. My graduating semester, we get first place. We get $15,000. There is this conference in New York later that summer in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, that we decide to go to, and it's all about innovation and entrepreneurs. It was my first conference as a little baby, like 22-year-old, freshly graduated, working on this startup. In the midst of all of this, I had also secured a full-time job starting later that fall after graduating, to be a corporate consultant. Had no idea what that was, but I was like, I'll take it. You're gonna pay me $70,000 to do what? I don't know, but I'll take it. So I did. I go to my first little conference. It's so fun. We still don't even have the idea of this fully flushed out. By fall, when I start my corporate job, obviously adding a corporate job, or just like the fact that I graduated and then I moved back home and I started a corporate job and I didn't know what I was doing, and I absolutely hated the corporate job because it was in healthcare in America. Oh, and I'm not passionate about that in the slightest. And yeah, you could probably tell, but like if I'm not passionate about something, it's hard for me to like put myself into it. I think I'm allergic to half-assing, and so when I do something, I tend to like give it my full heart, soul, puss, and back, and when I'm not into it, I just cry. And so navigating that dynamic of like, okay, we went to this conference, we got this money, we have this idea where we want people to pay us to pick up their clothes. We'll sort through the clothes and then ideally get a majority of the clothes to people that are like designing in the community so that they can upcycle these clothes, and then whatever isn't upcycled can be donated directly to charities and schools, all within, we were thinking like a 100 mile radius to reduce carbon emissions. This was a sustainable business that we were building. We were essentially, and by we, it was really me at the end, creating a system to help support the management of secondhand clothing waste. Because here's the thing, people can know that the clothes are currently drowning the earth, and at the time I felt really guilty about it because I had also been an unknown consumer in it. But as things, evolve, day by day we go on, it's like we need to create a system. Just like how they created recycling. We're trying to create some type of like upcycling for clothes. We have so much material. How can we reuse, reduce, all of that stuff? And we were even talking to this like laser developer in Sweden, and this group in Sweden had developed this laser to like scan through textile, so like your clothing, and it would like scan your clothes and it'd be like, oh, it's 70% cotton, it's 30% polyester, and then it would put it into like the right lane of sorting. It was insane, but that technology wasn't released. And when it was going to be, well, at the time it wasn't released, I don't know about now, but at the time it was you could like license it for like $30 million a year or something like that. And we were just looking into like, how are the big companies doing this? By the following, so 1 full year post grad, dropped the people that I was working with, because doing trying to do any type of entrepreneurship, like, it's not easy to create something out of nothing, and the people that I was working with just didn't have it in them. I don't know if they weren't as passionate. I don't know their like life circumstances. So then a full year of working with them, and I just felt like we were going in circles. We weren't getting anywhere. I decided like, hey, y'all, I'm going to step up and make an executive decision, and I need to toodaloo with all of you, and I need to go pursue this on my own, because this past year that we've been working together post-grad, we're not getting anywhere. So then the second that I take it into my own hands, that I create an LLC, I get my first customer. I get my first customer through work, my corporate job. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed and skyrocketed, and I felt like I built a name for myself in the Twin Cities entrepreneurship community. I remember I went to Twin Cities Startup Week. So again, if you are interested in entrepreneurship or starting your own business, there's probably some type of startup week or startup community wherever you live. Small Business Development Center, reach out to them and like see what community events are going on. Once I got into that, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. This little corporate thing that I'm doing, I'm really clocking that it's like a side gig. Even though it's like paying me full time, but like in my head, when I went to that startup week, I was like, oh, these hoes are making money from ideas and they're really creating cool ass shit. It really helped shift my mindset into being like, the world doesn't need saving. The world isn't some helpless thing that is drowning in clothes or heating up too much, because we are living amongst geniuses that are creating awesome systems and processes and new inventions to help support human evolution as well as like further development on Earth. And so it was all these awesome people creating sick stuff, like pulling carbon out of the air. Some people were carbon credit brokers, meaning like your whole entire life, if you were buying to the system, you could buy carbon credits so that like more trees are planted or more of these machines go under the earth and like suck all the carbon and like create coal or whatever. There was so much stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm locked in my mind. Was that 2023? So like a full year post grad, I was like, bet this startup shit is my main priority, and this little corporate gig that's paying me is like secondhand. And I really did it. I ran with it. People asked me to produce a fashion show. I produced a fashion show in 21 days. No experience producing a fashion show before, but I ate that shit up, even when the lady that asked me to produce it was out to get me. And let me tell you this. Women in their 50s, the Gen X women, they had to fight to be in the boys club, right? They were some of the first women in their fields or their experience to be the first women in the room. So they experienced a lot of discrimination. And my experience is that most women that are Gen Xers and 50s will not root for you. And I think that was jarring to me, because I was like, hello, I'm a younger you. Like, I thought you'd be so excited. But there was a lot of projection of envy, and they probably didn't process a lot of the discrimination and aggressive just abuse that they went through. And so they further projected it onto me. So yes, if you are an ambitious, intelligent, beautiful, up and coming in your 20s, and you're like, why is the woman that is in a position higher than me, like, or has more experience than me, why is she not helping me? Why is she trying to hurt me or sabotage me or just like straight up betray me? It's a universal experience, honey. It's because they are traumatized and they're not working through that, and they're just projecting it onto you, because hurt people. And I laughed because I remember after this person, was one specific Gen X 50-year-old woman asked me to produce this like fashion show. It was going to get so much press, and it did, and it was a good time. It showed me that I could really step up to the occasion, even though I was like working like crazy. She ripped off my back windshield wiper on my car. Allegedly. I don't have any proof, but let me tell you, I had this fashion show. I came out. She knew what my car looked like because I had delivered food to her previous events, and the back windshield wiper was literally, someone yanked it off and it was just tossed on the other side of the parking lot. So that's why I laughed, because I'm like, damn, the demons got you. They got your tongue and your vision and your hands, and you coming out here ripping off people's freaking back windshield wipers. Because what, they're more successful than you? They're more ambitious, they're more intelligent, they're more resourced. Like, get a grip. Anyways, I start my own LLC. I'm making way. I'm doing fashion shows. I'm doing upcycling workshops. I'm partnering with different people in the community. It's just bustling. I get recommended to join this another entrepreneurship program. And so here's the thing, if you're not in school and you're like, I have an idea and I want to get paid for it, but I'm not in school, I don't have access to these entrepreneurship groups, look for different nonprofits that are really trying to bring up young innovators, or just innovators in general. You don't have to be young, but the one that I was in was specifically targeted for young sustainable entrepreneurs, and then it was sponsored by BMO. And so I do that program. I even bring parts of my business into the corporate world. I remember for Earth Day at my corporate job, they asked me to give a presentation and speak about sustainable fashion, and it was really starting to be everyone was looking at me as a sustainable fashion expert, because I had garnered so much information over the years of research that I had done. But to me, it felt, because I'm so full-heartedly 100% into something, that when people were looking to me as an expert, I felt wait, girl, don't you know this? I'm all the stuff is on the internet. You can talk to other people. At that time, I hadn't clocked that my self-worth was very low and I had 0 to none self-esteem. But it was a really big deal. I got to speak at my corporate job in front of 300 people. It was the largest crowd at that time that I had spoken to. I gave a 1-hour presentation. So many people had questions. My friends, my family, people in the community, everyone was just helping me and supporting me. And I had this really big event in April of 2024. And it was this fashion show, and we created these I had commissioned these artists to create these zombies to demonstrate how much clothing waste the average American discards annually. And at that event, well, that was when the mental breakdown started to happen, because that was supposed to be so happy. It was oh my gosh, girl, you're getting paid thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to do this event, to talk about what you're passionate about. I remember in the bathroom having a panic attack, and one of the photographers, I had a photographer, I had a videographer, there was a whole team, there was press, there was literally press. And I remember one of the photographers came up to me as I was having a mini panic attack in the bathroom, and I was I don't know what I'm gonna say, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And she's what are you talking about? It's just you. You have all the information in your heart and in your mind, and all you're gonna do is open your mouth and let it come out. And I was I think I'm supposed to be happy, but I feel worthless. I feel like a fraud. And that was just a leap, a hop, a skip that I couldn't get over in my first journey. And they say a lot of people often fail at their first businesses. The only way you can fail in your business is giving up. A lot of people need that first, second, third. I've even known people that have 7, 10 different businesses that they fail at before one is finally successful. And for me, the mental block of I just don't belong, I feel like a fraud, I don't feel like an expert, and also just not being around people my age that were as ambitious, as innovative. A lot of times I garnered a lot of support, and I garnered tens of thousands of dollars to support this idea and implement it into the community in Wisconsin and Minnesota. But there just as many people as supported me, just as many people tried to bring me down, telling me I'm too young, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know anyone in the industry, I'm guaranteed to fail. So it was such a mind fuck. That's the theme of my life right now, is a little bit so far. We're diving back on the past. So the past has been, the book I was living out of was a bit mind fucky. Now we're a little bit more clarity. And yeah, after that big fashion show, I spoke in front of 300 people in person. I had an awesome promo video. Like I said, hired a videographer, hired a photographer, and I didn't have to spend any of my own money. I was literally getting money from different programs, from different grants. So I'm telling you, if you have an idea, just go out there, just tell people. Ignore the people that say that it's crazy, that it's not going to work, that you're going to fail, and just keep putting yourself out there, and people will pay you tens of thousands of dollars to just try out your idea. I even at the end of that summer got flown out to Montreal to go to this conference with a bunch of young entrepreneurs, and it was all about how like we're gonna make our impact on the world and what are we each doing to have our impact on the world. And then at that conference is when I got attacked right outside, and then I went into like full, like the burnout, I think at that point had been like slowly creeping up because I'm working this corporate job from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm getting off, I'm having a quick dinner, and then I'm working on the startup from like 5:30 to 8:30. I'm going to work out, I'm back at 10. I'm clocking in a couple more hours on the startup, and I'm sleeping from like 12 to like 7, 8. So I'm still getting that like 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but my output, like there was not a day that I rested. And I remember people telling me that I was so ambitious, that they've never met an ambitious woman like me. And I remember people telling me like, hey, I think you need a day off. And there was this huge drive inside of me that was like, I refuse to acknowledge the pain and hurt and violation that I experienced in college that pulled me away from that first time I was supposed to do that pitch competition my junior year. That I felt like if I developed and built this business to do my part in improving and helping the world and like building some type of management system for secondhand clothing, that would absolve all of my own inner trauma. And it didn't. And my body gave out. Getting attacked in Montreal, so this would be 2 years since starting the business, 2 years post-grad, that was like the final straw. I lost it. I, at that point then, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I quit my corporate job. Literally, I was supposed to get on another project, and I remember just immediately they like put me, because consulting is like, you're just pulled on different projects at different times. They got pulled on this project, and I immediately called my manager, and I was like, I can't do this project, because if I have to show up and I have to log into this Teams on this godforsaken laptop one more day, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I can't keep up with this anymore. I have to quit. And like, God bless that man's heart. He was like, just take the leave. He was like, you sound like you're having a crisis right now. Take the medical leave that we provide and like come back to me. Take the max leave, 8 weeks, and then come back to me. Like, you really do need a break. And he was like, from what I've heard, like, it just doesn't seem like you've had a break. I think you need a break to think this through. And I came back 8 weeks later, and I was like, no, I'm done. I can't keep up with this anymore. And I thought I was going to quit the corporate job and pursue the business full time. And then I was so burnt out at that point. I didn't have energy to leave the house because I had excreted and produced such a high volume for 2 years, working constantly with no breaks and just overextending myself. You know how they say like, pour from your cup that's full? Bitch, I broke my own cup and was just handing out pieces. And I was really driven to make this business work, and I just couldn't get it standing on its own feet. I didn't have the right logistics. I didn't have the right rooms to walk into to ask for the right people, and it wasn't my time. And so 6 months after I quit my corporate job, I was like, hey, this is it. Like, I just need to close my business at the beginning of 2025. I was like, I haven't done anything for the past 6 months. I feel like it's time to just close it. And if I pick it up in the future, I pick it up. And I think that was also another like identity loss, because so much of my identity at that point, I think 100% of me was like, I'm Freight's CEO. I'm that girl. And now if I close Freight, there's no Freight. Like, who am I? Such a big disarray, disappointment, grief, anger, shame. It was very stressful. And the way that my body was breaking down on me, that I wasn't able to sleep, I wasn't able to drink water, I wasn't able to eat, I wasn't able to leave my house. Like, I experienced peak burnout at 25 years old. I was having such crazy paranoia because the past 2 years I was running off adrenaline and dopamine that my body just gave out on me. After 600 plus days of running straight on adrenaline, my body collapsed and was like, girl, we're so wired, we think that everyone is out to get us and we're paranoid. And that's the time and my story of starting my own startup and having communal impact. Okay, so let me tell you some of the good things before I end this video. We did divert 30,000 pounds of clothes from landfills. We got clothes to designers, charities, and schools in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, as well as the Madison, Wisconsin area. We also got clothes out to the Philippines. It was awesome to see kids and elderly people in the Philippines that have never worn shoes or have handbags be able to have handbags, because we partnered with a nonprofit in Minneapolis that was doing a mission over there. I went to a bunch of conferences. I spoke to thousands of people. Even to this day, even though I deleted a bunch of my contacts, people will still reach out to me and be like, hey, how's the business? Or how are you? I'm working on this. Can you support this? Can you come to this event? I don't do anything of that nature because I'm still like rehabilitating myself. But yeah, I failed at my first business because I decided to quit. I still wholeheartedly believe that there is a system to be created to help manage and sort through and support the fashion industry and secondhand clothing. It's just not for me in this current era right now. And money. There's so much money. The world is not on a budget. If you have an idea and if you've got the drive and the passion and the time and the ambition and the external extrovertedness to go out there and meet a bunch of people and be in groups, you can get paid to have your idea and just work on it. And if your idea doesn't work out and you fail because you quit, hey, twins. Okay, if you have any questions about my entrepreneurship experience, about the business, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll check occasionally and reply. And whatever idea that you have and you just feel like a little entrepreneur spirit in ya, do it. You've got nothing to lose, but do it in moderation. Don't go crazy like I did. And don't think it's gonna like heal all your inner problems, because it won't, and you'll burn out. Well, maybe I did. Perhaps your build's different. Who knows? We've all got a skeleton at the end of the day, and we've all got the same insides. A little bit different here and there, but for the most part, we're human and we're alive. All right, see you in the next one. This was fun. Bye.